Have you ever wondered why some hockey players seem to be able to skate all out all game while other players seem to just taper off? Well, it isn't grit, it's science. My name is Dr. Jamie Phillips. I'm a former professional hockey player. I'm a physical therapist, and I own Ghost Rehab and Performance, a hockey-specific training center in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And today we're going to be talking about lactate threshold. For our hockey players, lactate threshold training is a performance game changer. It helps our players go faster for longer with maximal strength. So what is your lactate threshold? Our body uses three main energy systems to power our movement. We have our immediate and explosive ATP-PC system, or our phosphocreatine system. This is the first few seconds of exercise. So imagine your first 3 strides or your first couple sets on a squat. Next up is the faster but less efficient glycolytic system. This takes over after the ATP-PC system. So after a few seconds, this will start to take over to provide ATP, or essentially the energy to the cells. This system is still anaerobic, meaning it's not utilizing oxygen. And finally, we have our aerobic system, meaning our body is using oxygen to help create energy. This is for more sustained and longer duration movement. When your aerobic system maxes out and you're no longer able to utilize oxygen efficiently, your body will switch to primarily the glycolytic system. When our glycolytic system is working overtime and we're not able to flush out the byproducts and the waste that's created, there becomes a buildup of hydrogen atoms, meaning there's not enough oxygen to clear it out, and we get that really deep burn in our legs and it feels like we can't go any further. When we hit that point, it means that we've hit that lactate threshold, and it's going to be almost impossible for us to be able to perform at 100% for any meaningful amount of time. When you cross that lactate threshold, your muscles start to struggle and your pace begins to slow down. So on a shift-by-shift basis, you might feel great your first shift, and all of a sudden you're slower. By the time the second or third period comes around, you're just practically dragging on the ice. If you're able to raise that threshold, you're going to be the hockey player that's able to go all game without phasing out. So imagine being that hockey player that's able to perform comfortably while others are burning out. That's the magic of lactate threshold training, is it makes you stronger for longer. Here at GRP, we like to test lactate threshold in a few different settings. The most accurate way is to use a lactate test monitor. So you take a pinprick of blood and it tests the amount of lactate that's in your system. When we're running through a large volume of athletes, this isn't the most efficient way to do it. So we like to use our Rogue Echo Bike to do maximal intervals on the bike and then look at the drop off in times. With our TPH Grand Rapids hockey players, we did 3 15-calorie intervals in a 90-second window, meaning if they did 15 calories in 30 seconds, they had 60 seconds rest. If they took them longer to get those calories, they had less rest. And we looked at the drop off from their first time to the second time. With our summer athletes, we tend to do 6 rounds, 1 because it's more accurate, and 2 because it's the summer training, so we can really focus on that lactate threshold without worrying about them being too tired for on-ice performance. The smaller the drop-off, meaning if your first set is 30 seconds and your second set is 32 seconds and your third is 34, that's a really good indicator for your ability to control that lactate threshold, be able to flush out that waste product, and perform maximally each and every shift. If there's a large drop off, so your first set is 30 seconds and your last set is 45, it means there's a lot more work that we need to do to build up that capacity. So if you don't have a sports lab like we do, then I would recommend doing this test. If you don't have a bike, you can do it as a 300-meter shuttle. This is a great one where you run 50 meters down and back 3 times within a 2-minute window. Whatever time is remaining is your rest. You do this 3 to 6 times. Now that we know our athlete's threshold, it allows us to be very specific in our training so that we can group athletes with a high threshold together so that we don't have to focus on it as much. And then athletes with a low threshold, we need to build up that capacity quite a bit. So our goal with all athletes, but specifically the ones with a low threshold, is really to build that ceiling and also to build that floor. So the time it takes to hit that maximal capacity needs to be longer, and the time it takes to be able to clear that and recover shift by shift needs to be quicker. There's three main ways that you can train your lactate threshold at home. You can either replicate a similar high intensity interval test like you were doing for our baseline testing. You can start low at 15 seconds on, 45 seconds off, or different intervals like that. That way you're replicating the intensity of a shift. Another is if you have access to a heart rate monitor, you can maintain a certain steady heart rate. The sweet spot seems to be around 140 to 150 beats per minute for some sort of period of time. For our athletes with a really low lactate threshold that really need to focus a lot on that steady state cardio, or you think about zone 2 kind of cardio, is to be able to maintain that for anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes. So when you're doing that type of exercise, you're getting close to that ceiling, but you're never punching through. You're just getting close to that ceiling, you're backing down a bit, and then you're just maintaining that, helping build up your cells and your body's capacity to process and shuttle out that byproduct. As your lactate threshold gets better, you can add in more duration, or you can add in more resistance at that same heart rate. So if you're on some sort of bike, and let's just say you're pedaling at 30%, and you can maintain that at 150 beats per minute for 45 minutes, and after that becomes too easy, then you can go up to 50%, and so on and so forth, until your lactate threshold is much better and you can see that performance on the ice. Now, I do recommend mixing in a lot of the steady state stuff with a lot of the high intensity stuff so it most replicates a game and you can get a large variation of different stimulus for your body. So if you're a hockey player and you're struggling to get through the first period without your legs feeling heavy and you feel like your competition is skating you by, reach out to us at Ghost Rehab. We'll set you up with our in-season high-performance hockey program that's helped thousands of athletes reach their highest potential in season and crush their competition on the ice. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe for more hockey training content.